I never believed in fate until the night I walked into the Meridian Hotel with a canceled flight, a dead phone, and absolutely nowhere else to go. The lobby smelled like sandalwood and old money, the kind of place where the marble floors reflected chandeliers that probably cost more than my car. I was dragging my suitcase behind me, still wearing the same clothes from 14 hours ago, and I must have looked completely out of place because the woman at the front desk gave me this tight smile that said she was already preparing to tell me they were fully booked. But then he appeared. The concierge. His name tag said Cassian, which felt almost too elegant for someone who looked like he'd just stepped out of a cologne advertisement. Dark hair swept back perfectly, olive skin, and these green eyes that actually made me forget what I was about to say. He was wearing the hotel uniform, a charcoal suit with a subtle pinstripe, but somehow he made it look like it was custom-tailored just for him. "Rough day?" he asked, and his voice had this warm quality that immediately made my shoulders relax. "Canceled flight. Conference got rescheduled. My hotel booking was non-refundable at a place across town, but they're under construction and the noise is unbearable. I just need a quiet room for 3 nights where I can actually sleep." I was rambling. I knew I was rambling. Something about his steady gaze made me nervous in a way I hadn't felt in years. He looked at the computer screen, his fingers moving across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. "We have a standard room available on the 4th floor. It's not much, but it's quiet. Faces the courtyard instead of the street." I nodded, already reaching for my wallet. "I'll take it." But then he paused. His eyes flicked to the screen, then back to me, and something shifted in his expression. A small smile played at the corner of his mouth. "Actually, let me see what else I can do for you. You look like you could use a little good luck today." His fingers flew across the keyboard again, and I watched his face as he concentrated. There was a small scar above his left eyebrow, barely visible, a tiny imperfection that somehow made him more real, more human. "How about this?" he said, looking up at me. "I can upgrade you to a junior suite on the 7th floor. Same price as the standard room. It has a better view, a sitting area, and the bed is actually comfortable enough that people write reviews about it." "Seriously?" I felt something loosen in my chest, the first bit of relief I'd experienced all day. "Seriously." He printed out the key cards and slid them across the desk. "Room 714. The elevators are just past the restaurant. If you need anything during your stay, anything at all, just call down and ask for me specifically. Cassian." The way he said his own name, with just a hint of emphasis, made my pulse quicken. I took the key cards, and our fingers brushed for just a second. "Thank you," I managed. "I'm Wes by now. By the way, I'm Wes by the way." His smile widened, showing teeth this time. "Welcome to the Meridian, Wes." The room was beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a king bed with sheets that felt like clouds, and a bathroom with one of those rainfall showers that makes you never want to leave. I dropped my suitcase, kicked off my shoes, and just stood there for a moment, taking it all in. When was the last time someone had just done something nice for me without wanting anything in return? When was the last time I'd let myself accept kindness without immediately wondering about the catch? I ordered room service, took a shower that lasted 45 minutes, and fell asleep watching some mindless action movie on the massive TV. The bed really was as comfortable as Cassian had promised. The next morning, I woke up actually feeling rested for the first time in weeks. My meetings weren't until the afternoon, so I decided to explore the hotel a little. The gym was predictably fancy, all chrome and mirrors and machines that looked like they belonged in a spaceship. I was on the treadmill, halfway through a run and thoroughly sweaty, when I glanced up at the mirror and saw him. Cassian was across the gym, using the cable machine, wearing a simple gray t-shirt and black shorts. His arms flexed as he pulled the cables, and I nearly tripped over my own feet. He wasn't in his uniform, wasn't playing the role of the polished concierge. He was just a guy working out, and somehow that made him even more attractive. He caught me staring. Of course he did. I quickly looked away, focusing very intently on the treadmill controls, but I could see his reflection in the mirror. He was smiling. A few minutes later, he appeared next to my treadmill, holding a water bottle. "Good morning, Wes. How's the room working out?" It's perfect, I said, trying to control my breathing and failing miserably. Thank you again for the upgrade. My pleasure. He tilted his head slightly, studying me with those green eyes. You're up early for someone who looked completely exhausted yesterday. Couldn't sleep anymore. Too well rested, I guess. It was a stupid joke, but he laughed anyway, and the sound did something pleasant to my chest. I know the feeling. I live on the 7th floor too, actually. Staff apartments. They put us up here so we're always available for guests. He said it casually, but there was something in his tone that felt intentional. Room 722, end of the hall from you. My heart did a weird little skip. Small world. Very small. He held my gaze for a moment longer than necessary. Well, I should let you finish your workout. But if you need any recommendations for dinner tonight, you know where to find me. He walked away, and I watched him go in the mirror, wondering if I was reading too much into every word, every glance. Probably. Almost certainly. But the thought of him just down the hall from me stayed in my mind for the rest of the day. My meetings went well, better than expected, actually. I closed a deal that had been stalling for weeks, and by the time I got back to the hotel that evening, I was riding high on adrenaline and success. The lobby was busier now, guests checking in and out, but I spotted Cassian immediately. He was helping an elderly couple with their luggage, patient and attentive, and I felt this strange urge to wait until he was free just to talk to him. Instead, I headed to the hotel bar. It was one of those upscale places with dim lighting and a bartender who looked like he took his craft very seriously. I ordered a whiskey and sat in a corner booth, scrolling through my phone and trying not to think about the concierge upstairs who might or might not have been flirting with me. Mind if I join you? I looked up. Cassian was standing there, out of his uniform now, wearing dark jeans and a soft blue sweater that made his eyes look even more green. Your shift over? I asked, gesturing to the seat across from me. Finally. It's been a long day. He slid into the booth, and the bartender immediately brought over a glass of red wine without being asked. Perks of working here. They know my order. We talked for hours. I learned that he'd been working at the Meridian for 3 years, that he'd moved to the city from a small town upstate, that he was taking night classes in hospitality management because he wanted to run his own boutique hotel someday. He asked about my work, and I found myself telling him things I rarely shared with anyone, about how I'd built my consulting business from nothing, about the pressure I put on myself to succeed, about how sometimes I felt like I was always performing, always trying to be the person everyone expected me to be. I know exactly what you mean, he said softly. When you work in service, you're always wearing a mask, always being who people need you to be in that moment. It's exhausting. So who are you when you're not being the perfect concierge? He smiled, but there was something vulnerable in it. I'm still figuring that out, honestly. But I think I'm someone who appreciates honesty, who values real connections, who's maybe a little tired of pretending. The air between us felt charged. I wanted to reach across the table and touch his hand, but I didn't. Not yet. Can I ask you something? I said instead. Anything. The upgrade yesterday, was that just good customer service, or was there another reason? He didn't look away. Do you want the professional answer or the honest one? The honest one. I saw you walk in and I thought you were beautiful, exhausted and rumpled and clearly having the worst day, but beautiful. And I wanted to do something nice for you. Maybe I also wanted an excuse for you to remember me. He paused, taking a sip of his wine. And maybe I was hoping you'd be staying on my floor. My breath caught. I'm glad you did. Yeah? Yeah. We finished our drinks slowly, neither of us wanting the conversation to end. When we finally left the bar, we rode the elevator up together in silence, the tension thick enough to cut. The elevator dinged at the 7th floor, and we both stepped out into the quiet hallway. This is me, I said, stopping at room 714. See my apartment? It's nothing fancy, but see my apartment? It's nothing fancy, but I have a bottle of wine that's much better than what they serve in the bar. And the view is pretty good. I didn't hesitate. I'd like that. His apartment was smaller than my suite, but felt more like home. Books on the shelves, plants on the windowsill, photographs on the walls. There was a comfortable couch facing the window, and he was right about the view. The city spread out before us, lights twinkling like stars. He poured the wine. and we sat on the couch, close enough that our knees touched. "I don't usually do this," he said. "Do what?" "Invite guests to my apartment. Get involved. It's complicated when you work in a hotel." "We don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with." He turned to face me fully. "That's not what I meant. I meant that I want to, and that scares me a little. Because you're leaving in 2 days, and I already know I'm going to miss you when you're gone." I set down my wine glass and reached for his hand. His fingers interlaced with mine, warm and solid. "What if I told you I come to this city once a month for work? What if I told you I'd specifically request the Meridian from now on?" "I'd say that sounds like the beginning of something." "Good," I said, and then I kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative, both of us testing the waters. But then his hand came up to cup my face, and everything deepened. He tasted like wine and possibility, and when we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. "Stay tonight," he whispered against my lips. "I was hoping you'd ask." We moved to his bedroom, shedding clothes between kisses, and everything felt both urgent and unhurried at the same time. He was gentle and passionate, attentive in ways that made me feel seen in a way I hadn't experienced before. Afterward, we lay tangled together in his bed, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat slow. "I can't believe this is happening," I said. "Which part?" "All of it. Walking into that hotel, you upgrading my room, this." He ran his fingers through my hair. "Sometimes good things happen, Wes. Sometimes we get lucky." I stayed the night, and the next morning I woke up in his arms with sunlight streaming through the windows. He had to work, but I watched him get ready, memorizing the way he moved through his morning routine, the way he looked at me in the mirror while he straightened his tie. "I'll see you later?" he asked at the door. "Definitely." My last day in the city flew by. Note slipped under my door. "Dinner?" My note slipped under my door. "Dinner?" "My place, 8 o'clock. I'll cook." "See." I showed up at 8 on the dot with a bottle of wine I'd picked up from a shop near my meeting. He answered the door in jeans and a t-shirt, barefoot, and I'd never seen anything more perfect. Dinner was simple but delicious. Pasta with homemade sauce, salad, bread he'd baked himself that morning. We ate and talked and laughed, and it felt like we'd been doing this for years instead of days. "I don't want to leave tomorrow," I admitted over dessert. "Then don't." "I have to. But I'll be back in 3 weeks. There's a conference I need to attend." 3 weeks. He reached across the table and took my hand. "I can do 3 weeks. And then we figure this out? Whatever this is?" "Whatever this is," he agreed. We held hands in the taxi. Neither of us went nowhere. We held hands in the taxi, neither of us saying much, both of us trying to memorize every last moment. At the departure gate, he kissed me goodbye, and I didn't care who saw. 3 weeks, I said. 3 weeks, he repeated. "And Wes, when you come back, you're staying in my apartment, not the suite." I smiled. Deal. The 3 weeks felt like 3 months, but we texted every day, called whenever we could. And when I finally walked back into the Meridian Hotel, my heart pounding, Cassian was waiting in the lobby. He was in his uniform, professional and composed, but his eyes lit up when he saw me. "Welcome back, Mr. Wes," he said formally, but his smile was anything but professional. "It's good to be back. Your room is ready, 7th floor." He handed me a key card, and I noticed it was for his apartment, not a hotel room. "Perfect," I said. That was 6 months ago. Now I visit twice a month, and we're planning for him to visit me next month. We're taking it slow, figuring things out as we go, but it feels right. It feels like something real. Sometimes I think about that night when I walked into the hotel, exhausted and lost, never expecting to find anything but a bed to sleep in. And instead, I found him. I found this. A connection that started with a simple act of kindness and grew into something neither of us saw coming. Cassian still works at the Meridian, still upgrades rooms for guests who look like they need a little good luck. But now, when his shift ends, he comes home to me. And I'm learning that sometimes the best things in life happen when you least expect them, in the most ordinary places, with the most extraordinary people. The hotel concierge upgraded my room that first night, but what he really did was upgrade my entire life. And I've never been more grateful for a canceled flight. Total_char_count, 16,847.